With the massive shoes this episode had to fill, due to the fan base going gushing grannies over it, you'd think they'd let the animators have more time and, rest. I really hope they didn't go the Studio Mappa route, because that would be disastrous. But with that said, how did this episode hold up against the scrutiny and what was left out from the manhwa? Let's find out. It's crazy to think how much of the manhwa was changed here, and I absolutely love it. You see, right before Jinwoo would arrive, the cameraman would be saying his last prayers. Apparently, he'd wished that he'd talked to his father more, but right before he was eaten, he would be saved by Igris, and then we cut to the news station. They are freaking out that one ant could rip so many S ranks apart, so they cut the broadcast. But now Jinwoo shows up, which prompts them to resume the broadcast. However, they don't have the buffer of 10 minutes and the feed is live, but the boss decides to go forward with this and pledges to show everything as Jinwoo is their last hope. Iron uses his taunt and Jinwoo goes on the offensive and kills as many ants as possible. Ma wouldn't know what's going on, and I'm assuming that because of how the battle is progressing so fast, he's not able to see, but Beck tells him that everything is fine now. So then the rest of the shadows join in, followed by Jinwoo arising the fallen ants. The cameraman gets a transmission from the station telling him to report on what's going on, but chill my guy, no one knows what's going on here. This is where Jinwoo takes the chance to use his potion to heal everyone. Almost a completely different progress of events, right? In the anime, things progress a little bit different. The cameraman is shocked to see so many weird black soldiers, just like the rest of them. The ants then take a moment before attacking again, only to be pieced up by Igris and the troops. This is where Jinwoo pops up. Then we cut over to the rest of Korea trying to find out what happened to the video feed as there is no signal. Even Chairman Go gets up from his desk to head over to the conference room to find out more information. That's when we switch over to the news station to see that they are freaking out that they can't get a signal. It seems the cameraman's gear is malfunctioning as to why no signal is coming through. And then Jinwoo tells Iron to use his taunt, in which case his troops get themselves some ant action. But Jinwoo doesn't get his hands dirty as yet. He's asked by everyone where the hell did he come from, in which case he says, "Don't worry guys, I'm just aura farming. Just drink some of this potion. It's just his man juice, which heals every one of their wounds." But when he tries it on Cha, it doesn't work as her health bar is far too low. So he tells them, hey, we gotta get out of here, only to realize that they are blocked off by the rest of the ant troops returning to the nest. That's when we get to see Chairman Go heading into the conference room, and Jinna screams and slaps her TV around for some good measure. This is when we get the scene of the chairman of the Hunters Association of Japan freaking out about the mission going completely to shit. The anime and manhwa would have totally different versions of this. In the anime, he's talking to the vice president of Goto's guild as he's trying to find out more information about what's been happening and the sudden loss of comms with Goto. This is when the vice president speculates that Goto must have died after coming across a powerful aura, and then we get confirmation that he's dead. Later in the episode, we also get confirmation that he was eaten as well. Matsumoto would be pissed off that Goto got himself killed before switching back to the nest. In the manhwa, we get this scene a little bit later, right after Jinwoo encounters the king ant in fact. But it seems that Matsumoto heard the first bit of communication between Goto and the king ant right before his head was cut off, and the implications of a magical beast possessing speech stunned him to the core. Furthermore, realizing that Goto was now dead, which unlike the anime, we got confirmation in the last chapter. This is when he reaches out to the vice president of the guild to find out what's been happening, and he's told that the rest of the ants are returning to the nest, and it seems Korea is inside still battling. So he orders everyone to get a hold of the Korean broadcast to see what's up. Switching over, we get a scene of Jinha and her mother, which we covered the first part of this scene in the anime, but this scene was also one that was completely changed. You see, in the manhwa, instead of Jinha storming off to watch the broadcast in her room or at least try to get some more information off her phone, it was her mother that summoned her, letting her know that the TV was out and asking for help. Jinha would realize that mom doesn't know that Jinwoo was a hunter yet, so instead of outright fixing it, she slams the door, heading off into her room, asking her mom to hold on while resuming to watch the raid herself. The anime does continue this scene later, showing us as Jinwoo is facing off with the Ant King. Mom is busy washing dishes, not knowing what the hell's happening in her world. Back in the nest, Igris and the others go to town on some ants, and Jinwoo tells the rest of the S ranks to get behind Fang and deal with any residual ants that may show up. By this time in the manhwa, Jinwoo was telling Ma that they need to head out as soon as they can, as he can't heal Cha with any means that he has right now. In the anime, he tries to arise a few ant soldiers, only for the Ant King to show up. As you know, in the manhwa, he actually already summoned these ants the moment he arrived. The ants clear the way for their king, who says that the human king wasn't outside. Beck realizes that Goto is now dead, so Jinwoo steps up to the plate and face off with the king of ants. He uses his aura, which Jinwoo recognizes immediately as Goto, proving that this was the ant that ate him. This is when the cameraman's gear finally starts working and the director of the news station sees it. Without hesitation, he tells them to start broadcasting and it'll be live, just like its counterpart seen in the manhwa. We then get a reaction of everyone else watching the broadcast. The manhwa will give us scenes like that of Matsumoto, which we already covered, and then President Go couldn't believe his eyeballs seeing Jinwoo there. Now the real shit is about to begin. They start squaring off using powerful attacks, and the ant punches Jinwoo right in the face, which for some reason makes everyone think that Jinwoo was killed, only to realize that our boy ate that and dishes out his own, using Ruler's hand to bring the ant down to his height and then punching the ever-loving Christ out of him, which turns the ant into an origami piece of art. In the manhwa, the first punch Jinwoo landed actually sent the ant flying, and the rest of the crew were obviously flabbergasted to see this. They then start to dish out some blows, which does considerable damage to the ant's body, who then uses his poison tongue to try and stop Jinwoo. But he doesn't know that Jinwoo is immune to such things, and so he sends the ant flying once more with a more powerful blow. When he used his tongue in the manhwa, this is where they took the liberty of telling us all of the Ant King's abilities, which I actually broke down in the last video. So if you didn't see that, go ahead and check it out. Now when the scene changes over, it shows President Matsumoto in the anime, and this is a purely anime exclusive scene. Whereas in the manhwa we get some scenes of the S rank that was with Goto now being paralyzed with fear after seeing the Ant King. This scene we will get right after the Matsumoto one. Matsumoto can't believe that he lost so many S ranks on this one mission. He thinks that if Goto couldn't beat this ant, then there's no way Korea can, and they will all be killed. So then he comes up with another plan and orders them to regroup, as they can't possibly lose to Korea, and he needs to show his force and power. Damn sleazebag. This is when we get the scene of the traumatized S rank. We head back into the battle to see Jinwoo has healed from the poison and landed a devastating blow on the Ant King again. But he doesn't have much time left, so he goes on the offensive. The Ant King activates his own trump card and focuses solely on speed. The fight goes pretty much the same on both mediums, the manhwa and the anime. And as per usual, I'll be glazing the ever-loving shit out of the animation, which was amazing and spectacular as per usual. Like, bro. The first part of this fight was a little lacking, and you can see where the tight production and animation was really catching up. But this fight was not affected and wasn't a part of that. Then they went to town. They cooked. I absolutely love this scene. At any rate, in the anime, the ant actually seemed to have caught Jinwoo off guard when he instantly recovered and retaliated from one of Jinwoo's final strikes. While in the manhwa, it seems as if Jinwoo had control the entire time. Just as the Ant King was about to impale him, he finally got an upgrade for his fatal strike move, and now it's called mutilation, which allows him to strike his opponent's vitals with even more precision and deadly power. So much power that he can completely decimate his opponent's bodies. And then he uses this to counter the Ant King, sending him reeling back in disbelief. In the anime, the Ant King flees and then Jinwoo chases after him, slashing his body to pieces, forcing him to call for his ant army. In the manhwa, that scene wasn't present, and when the Ant King called for his army, Jinwoo let out a nice little smirk and called for his own army instead. This is when an all-out battle happened. In the manhwa, there was this comedic scene of Jinwoo warning Tusk that if he lets a single spark touch a human, he will never be summoned again, knowing how powerful Tusk's attacks can be, especially with the Orb of Avarice. So now Tusk lights up the entire nest, and holy shit, I can see what he meant with that. Funny how in the manhwa I didn't see Kaisel anywhere. Now the king feels fear as he tries to get away, only to be slain by Jinwoo. After its defeat, Jinwoo is reminded that Cha doesn't have much time, and it seems that there's nothing he can do until he gets an idea. This is where the anime ends. A little rough at the beginning, but I don't think normal anime watchers would notice or care, as a matter of fact, especially seeing the second half of this fight. But I couldn't ignore it. Plenty of scenes weren't all there in terms of drawing, animation, and lighting. But again, that's to be expected from such a tightly scheduled show, which focuses mainly around action. It really didn't take from the anime in any way at all, and they did justice to the ant fight. I was more than delighted, to say the least. Here I thought that this would have been the final episode, but turns out there's another episode next week. So I look forward to covering that as well. Also, don't trust any random news posts talking about this. As when it comes to anime episodes, they post for engagement and oftentimes are super wrong. At any rate, let me know what you thought about this episode. Did you notice all the jank as well, or was it just me? Comment below, share, subscribe, all of that nice stuff. I've been your host Kyle. Thank you again for joining me, V Nation. Peace out, stay safe out there. Bye.